are back with Is This a Pickleball Podcast? I'm your host, Matthew K. Pickleball. I am joined by my esteemed collaborator, Mr. Wilson. Wilson, how are you doing today?
Hey Matt, I'm doing good. Yeah, weather's good. Pickleball this morning was pretty good. How about you?
Oh man, it sounds like you're doing better than me, Wilson. You played pickleball today.
Yeah.
My week has been a little different. I've been away from the courts. I went to the NerdyTourney. We're going to talk all about that. I know that. But this week has been a whirlwind on the work front, and then I also got a tooth extracted. That is a story for a different podcast. But you know what? I'm glad to be talking with you. We've got some play on the books coming up, and I'm looking forward to that. But more than anything, Mr. Wilson, I'm
Yeah.
excited to just see you. I feel we have
Seems like it's been
just
a while, huh?
it's been a while. This is episode 12. We did take, I guess, a little bit of a hiatus for a week just because the schedule stuff, wedding season, tooth removal season for me. So it's just been a busy time. But we're back. We're at it. Few reminders. If you're listening to this, come on, do us a favor. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon, subscribe. You want to join us for all the fun. And then one other little reminder, the Matthew K. Pickleball channel has a few live pickleball paddle giveaways going on. And I'm just going to list them because there are a lot right now, Wilson. I was looking and there are a lot. So if you haven't entered these, check out the channel, see how to enter. We've got one for Franklin's new C45 paddle. We have our Packle giveaway, which does involve reviewing us or leaving a rating over on Apple Podcasts. Hey, and someone left us a constructive criticism rating there for that. I guess they really wanted to win that paddle. They did express, and I guess I'll try to do it on today's pod, Wilson, but they told me stop rambling and stop airing out all your insecurities. And then I got a comment back every once in a while. I said, well, that's my entire personality. So, folks, if you don't want the rambling, if you don't want to be my village of therapists and listen to me air out all my insecurities, there's that. There are a bunch of other podcasts. So, but yeah, be
Confidence,
nice in
Matt.
the reviews.
Confidence.
I'm confident that I am going to express thoughts and feelings regarding, life, pickleball, all that. And so I think that's just my personality. I think that's just what this pod, this pod has to be reflective of our personalities. So, up front, folks, I know there's a high click away rate in this little window of time. So, now you know. But check out that Packle giveaway. And then we've also got a giveaway for Standouts take on Gen 3, a giveaway for a Kiwi Labs paddle, also in the podcast. Check out that interview. Not a lot of folks have entered that one, so you have a real good shot over there. And then a Yola giveaway. If you can believe it, we're actually giving away a Yola paddle. And then by the time this podcast airs, I'm not sure. It depends how busy my weekend is, but we've got an 11/6/24 power giveaway going. So lots of giveaways. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Go subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. You really want to keep up because I actually do run these giveaways. If you check the community tab on YouTube, you'll see people actually get these paddles. And then my only other update, which aside from the Nerdy Tourney, is I just dropped my Pro XR video. I know I was working on that for a long time.
Yeah, it was a
And
great
that was a
video.
really Oh,
I liked
well, you
it.
got more good things to say, Wilson? I'm ready. I'm
Yeah,
ready for the
yeah. No, no,
praise.
no. I really like how it was more like a timeline, like a historical like overview of the company. I think that's super cool. I think you should try it with other companies. I don't know.
Oh,
Just a
I thought it
thought,
was
you
interesting.
know?
I thought it was interesting, but I've been talking to all the reviewers, but it's really hard. Like sometimes if you're not dropping your video with the release of like a brand new like hot paddle, it's hard to pick up views and get that help in the algorithm. But you know what? I'm interested in the weird stuff. And so that Pro XR situation is something I've been thinking about for a while. And I had some of their paddles. And yeah, so in that video, I basically do an overview of like where they were a few years ago and where I think they're going. And I think there's some good insights in there. And yeah, I also had to tell Zane, because I'm sure he's gonna watch that video, that you got some issues with him. But check that video out, and then I hope to do a follow up, and sort of I posed some theories in that video about where I think they're going, Pro XR. And if you don't know, folks, if you're not deep in the weeds of paddle nerdom, Pro XR's parent company recently folded in PaddleTech, and I talk about in the video how I think it's taken a while. I've had a little bit of some debates in the Facebook comments. You know, people are just coming at me in the comments, Wilson. They just think I'm stupid.
Hey, that,
So
that means they're listening, all right? So you gotta look at it on the bright side of
yeah,
things, right?
but yeah, they were just surprised. They were like expressing like, has it really been that short of a time? It's been like since I don't know when that acquisition took place, or when that, I don't know if it was an acquisition, but when the company brought in PaddleTech into the fold. I think they had said a year and a half ago. But if anyone's ever worked at any sort of company that's been involved in an acquisition or a merger or anything, like nothing is going to get impacted product line wise for a beat. And I think we're only just now seeing that. And I have a few other like clues that I didn't really share in the video because I didn't think it was appropriate. But just like, but I have other clues that make me feel that there's been some stir up over at Pro XR in particular, which is interesting because they were already in the company. But obviously PaddleTech was having a lot of success when all of that happened. And so, yeah, I think we're getting some PaddleTech DNA brought into the Pro XR brand. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I also, in the video, highlight how I think Zane Navratil, the professional player, might have had a pretty big impact on Pro XR when he got involved. And all of this is really to the benefit of the consumer because they're older style paddles, especially Zane's paddle, his original signature paddle, they're like steeply discounted right now. And so I think they're very competitive with a lot of the bargain paddles we are seeing from like Vatic, that we're seeing from Spartus, that we're seeing from 11624. They're just a lesser, like, they're not, people aren't reviewing those old paddles, but because why would they? They're not a new release. But in my eyes, they are a new release because they're, after promo code Matthew K, they're like less than $150. I think they're, I say it in the review, I think they're 130. And that's right up there with like the Sagas and some of these budget paddles. And they have older tech, but PaddleTech has older tech. They just play really well, especially Zane's paddle. So check that video out. And yeah, but before we talk, Wilson, about the NerdyTourney hosted by Bread and Butter Pickleball, bro, I saw you on the gram. I saw you posing. I got some podium stances and
Yeah.
some hardware. What have you been up to? Wilson had a real tournament with real, not to say the reviewers aren't real players, but Wilson went hard. California pickleball. Tell us all about what went down.
Yeah, so over here, as you can see, I got two gold medals last weekend, the same weekend as the Nerdy Tourney. Um, so for those who don't know, or actually, I think most people don't know, I'm in forensics and I work for our local police department. And every year, the police and fire, there's a police and fire championships here down in San Diego, and everybody, from New York to Florida to anywhere, everywhere, they'll come and they'll compete. It's like the Olympics for the police and fire people. And yeah, so I'm thankful that there's pickleball. It's a relatively new addition to the championships. They have everything from, basketball, soccer, marathon, shooting, all the standard Olympic sports. But they did add pickleball. So, hopefully the Olympics do the same as well eventually, right? That'll be cool.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, so over here, I played in the 30 plus singles and 30 plus doubles. Uh, and I was able to get gold in both of them. Competition was tough. The weather was even harsher. It was humid and windy. It was hot, humid, and windy. So I mean, the only thing that was in my favor was that it was kind of overcast, so I didn't have to worry about the sun too much. But yeah, it was a good battle. I think there were maybe 10 to 12 teams each in each group, and we did round robin style. And yeah, I was able to fight them off and hold on for the gold.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy about that. And I got a little trip to San Diego for the weekend. But it's definitely, I don't think it compares to what you got to see and visit
Oh,
in Florida. Tell me about that one.
I
Something.
will, I will. But first, Wilson,
Okay,
huge congratulations. I didn't even
thank you.
realize. So you weren't playing with your normal mixed partner then. You were doing.
No, I wish, as you can see, there's only two. There's only men's doubles and singles. It's kind of hard to find it was hard for me to find a female partner who is in, law
Your area.
enforcement or in my area and as a first responder. And so I couldn't sign up for that. So I didn't, yeah.
Okay.
And I couldn't, I tried finding it, tried looking, tried searching, couldn't get anybody to play with me. So yeah, I mean, hopefully if I can find a mixed partner, I could get the, what are they called? Triple crowns? Or I think that's
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be cool
The
to have a triple crown,
trifecta.
right? Yeah,
So,
trifecta.
so could it be? I didn't realize it was from
Hmm.
all over the country. So could it be
Yeah.
from anywhere in the country?
Yep, yep.
All right,
Anywhere in the
folks.
country.
Wilson, he's got 2 medals. Next year,
Yes.
he needs a lady partner. Comment
Anywhere.
down. We'll make it happen. If you're connected to the police or the fire department somewhere,
Hmm.
or if you're
Hmm.
a lab tech like Mr. Wilson, thank you. Showing science can prevail on all athletic frontiers. So that's very cool. And congratulations, Wilson. I know that
Thank you.
was. I'm sure that was a brutal fight. But yeah, speaking of brutal fights,
You had an uphill
all right,
battle, huh?
all right, in so many ways. I thought I would just walk, folks. Everyone's probably seen everyone's recaps on the Nerdy Tourney hosted by Bread and Butter Pickleball. But I'll throw my stories in the ring as well. And yeah, it was an awesome experience. I headed out. I took Friday off, and I had a whole grand plan that I was gonna do a red eye from LA, and I was trying to do like the cheapest plane budget I could, and so I booked a flight with a layover to North Carolina, in North Carolina, and but I had this epic plan. I'm gonna sleep on the plane. I had my layover connecting flight figured out. I'd arrive the next morning, bright and early, well rested in Florida. I had some other stuff I was gonna do. My older brother lives down there, so I was visiting him before the tournament. But it started off rough, and I mean rough, because I got on the plane and I saw I was seated right next to the bathroom door. And yep, very quickly. I begged for to get moved, but I think the only seat available, there's one empty seat. This flight was packed. One empty seat. It was right behind me, empty the whole flight, but it was an emergency exit row, and apparently that's an upgrade, and you can't do an upgrade while, like, I would have had to have done it before I boarded. And so I tried to get. I got a few winks, but it was tough. And I get to Florida. I have a little brother hang before I eat some barbecue. Super jet lagged, and then I get to the place where it's being hosted, and I'm pretty early, but I already knew some of the folks were already there just because I saw on Instagram and all that. But I was trying to get my bearings, and I was a little bit out of it. I'm going to be honest. I was not in the best shape. And my one thing, folks, you might not know this since I'm such a seasoned YouTuber and podcaster, but I'm not the best socializer. I'm really not. Wilson's seen me out there at the social events begging him to help me be social. And so my whole goal for this was to just like, I've known some of these folks like online for a long, long time, and I just didn't want to be too weird, but also wanted to be friendly. And so like get to know people. I was there to have fun and get to know these people because I've known, like, I followed a lot of these guys for a long time, like well before I was doing the review game. And so, that was my goal. So a little jet lag, that made it a little hard, but, we get there, people are arriving at different times. And so eventually I did meet some folks. I think some of the folks I met first were Lewis, Pickleball Pursuit, and then his co-host, which we'll talk about him in a little bit. I met Pickleball Etc. Apparently that podcast, Wilson, we could not ever be on that podcast. There is a minimum height requirement. I believe you have to be 8 feet tall to be on. They're both because we see waist up on all this. I had no idea. They are both super tall, both Lewis and Justin, but super nice. And then people are just hanging out. I was debating if I was going to take a nap or hang in and be social, and I had that debate for a number of hours. And so I really walked that. I should have probably taken a nap, but anyway, I got through it, and then eventually the night was going, and I think they had a nice meal for us. I think we had tacos, and then I don't think Doug and Aurora, the folks running this tournament, the folks that run Bread and Butter, they thought this was just going to be, a casual, fun little thing. But you can't bring a bunch of paddle nerds, literally they know we're paddle nerds and pickleball players, to any event like we were talking about where there's competition and they're not taking it seriously. And so Doug scrambled to get us a place to play that night because the tournament's the next morning. And eventually I met my assigned partner, Mr. Logan Brown of the Sunday Dinking Club, formerly the co-host of Pickleball Effect's podcasts. And Pickleball Effect, I went through the history a little bit. He's had many co-hosts. So Wilson, watch out. Job security for co-hosts, it seems rough. But no, I'm just kidding. But I met him, and we definitely were like, we were literally called team underdogs. Like we had like a pretty some of the teams were pretty stacked duper wise, and then I don't really do anything competitive, so my duper I think probably gave a false impression of like my skill level, and so luckily I got to play with Logan for a little bit at Rec Play at a really, really nice court out there, and yeah, we got a little bit of a sense of each other, but that wasn't a ton of time, and I'll explain how the tournament works in a second. But during those games, I do remember playing with Pickleball Effect, Braden, over on the Pickleball Effect channel, like, one of the Avengers of the reviewers, and he was super nice, and I played with the guys from Building Pickleball and Rackets and Runners, and I think he's the guy over at Rackets and Runners, he's actually from Hawaii but lives in Canada. I think he's the only person that traveled farther than I did to get to this thing. And then I also believe I played with Dinkmash Media, so Pickleball Effect's current co-host, and a few others. I was trying to take some notes before this to tell you what went down, because Wilson, everyone literally, they remember every point of every game. I would hear them afterwards just like, yeah, this hit. And like, I don't even remember when I called like point two. I don't even remember what we did right before.
That's
So
me.
I
I
just
can
had a
never remember
terrible.
the score.
Yeah, exactly. And so I took some notes because I wanted to let you know who I met. And yeah, during rec play, had some fun games. But yeah, I think Logan and I knew it was going to be an uphill battle, and I don't believe we knew who were. No, we didn't know who would be playing. And so finally, we play till they kick us out, and that was a lot of fun. It was just people were pretty casual, I'd say,
Was
but
this like
also,
a public court or something? Or
it's
was it like a
semi-public.
private? Are you?
It was a complicated story. It was basically like a public court run by a private entity, and so you had to have, I think, a membership. I wasn't quite sure, but Doug put a call in. I think a little cash got massaged in there because
Transacted.
yeah, he saw we were desperate to get some games in. Because Logan and I, for hours, we were like, can we go? I saw a court driving in. Can we go get and like no one was going, and then finally it happened, and it happened like this, like all of a sudden, like a plane happened and psh, everyone disappeared. But anyway, so rec play ended, and at that point, my social battery that was like I think it had exploded. I don't think it was drained, and so I went to bed to try to get some rest for the actual tournament, and and yeah, the next day comes, I got some rest, and I didn't have a car with me. A lot of people had like rented cars. I did not, because my older brother dropped me off. And so that morning I bummed a ride with Pickleball Medicine, Dustin. He let me grab a ride, but then the worst thing that can happen on the way to a pickleball game, that's going to be a long day, because the courts are in this like warehouse that's very, very hot. There's two courts, and so you're gonna have two games going on simultaneously. But I was already warned it was super hot, although they were gonna get an air conditioner for that day. But I had forgotten to put on deodorant, and I realized that in the car. And luckily, Pickleball Medicine and his co-hosts were stopping at a Wawa to get some drinks or something. I've never been to a Wawa. Apparently, it's a big spot. You know what? They had deodorant. I will say the Wawa deodorant is not the best price. Anyway, so finally I get to the tournament, and we find out who's going to play first, and it's not me, thank God. So I get a big bagel. They have some bagels, Einstein bagels. Ooh, I love me some Einstein bagels. I slather it with cream cheese, and I'm just chilling. I'm having a good time. And then I hear on the microphone, Matthew K. Pickleball needs to report. And apparently someone overslept, and so my partner and I got subbed into the first game. I had to set that bagel aside, and we ended up playing. I feel so bad because I actually don't know. I don't remember. Once again, it was just such a whirlwind. But I know we played Paul Lee in that first game, who was super, super nice. And I can't remember who his partner was. Please forgive me if you're watching this. Please, there are a lot of people there. And then I realized like we're like 2 points in, or so, I can't remember. I think we might have actually had a decent start. But then it comes back to us, and I remember, oh, I forgot to put that deodorant on. So I had to stop play and go grab that deodorant, because you can't put deodorant once you're soaked through. Like, it's never gonna work. So, and that Wawa deodorant was not cheap, so I had to get my money's worth. And so I stopped play. I don't know if that's common at tournaments to stop gameplay to apply deodorant, but
Medical
I did it.
timeout.
Exactly. And so we scored a few points, Logan and me. We did not win that game. And so since we didn't win, and the other thing I should mention, Paul Lee tried to body bag me at point 10. So, but it went right into the net. But I was not expecting that, because I didn't know him very well. And I was like, and then he told me he was going to try to body bag whoever at point 10. So I gave him a hard time about it the rest of the tournament. But he was really nice. But since we lost, we got sent to the toilet bowl bracket. So the losers were going to fight, and ultimately you were fighting for who was the worst. So however they calculated the spreads, the two worst would compete. But if you did the best, you could get out of the toilet bowl and compete in the Nerdy Tourney. And so Logan and I got to play one more game in the tournament, and I do believe that was with Dinkmash Media and his partner. Unfortunately, we did not win that game, but also unfortunately, we weren't bad enough to actually compete in the toilet bowl for the trophy. We weren't eligible to compete in the final game because the worst of the worst, they're competing for some legit hardware, all right? If you get the very worst spot in this whole nerdy tourney thing, you got a little trophy. And I thought that would have looked good on my shelf. But unfortunately, Logan and I, we're just too good. They didn't want it. We couldn't compete. It wasn't our bracket. And ultimately, the guys that we had played at Rec Play the day before, over at Building Pickleball and Rackets and Runners, I think they played Dinkmash Media and his partner, and ultimately Building Pickleball and Rackets and Runners lost, and so they were declared the victors of the toilet bowl. They looked very, very sad receiving that honor, but they were good sports about it. And then the folks that actually won the whole tournament, it was Pickleball Etc. So Justin, the co-host over at Pickleball Effect, he actually faced off his host and his host partner, and they came out on top. And Pickleball Etc.'s partner was this guy named Right Side Will, and he wore a Wednesday Addams costume. Yes, so because he's very good, and I guess that was like his handicap. He was sort of like a last minute sub or not a last minute. He was a Pickleball Etc. Kind of had a lower duper, and so I guess Doug wanted to give him a ringer, and it paid off. This guy was killer, but actually he hosts the social over at the Whittier iPickle and said you and me should go, and so we should definitely make that happen.
Yeah,
but
sounds good.
Yeah, and I played with him some. Super nice. He's very good. And what was fun about sort of this, so after the tournament, then like they've got the air conditioner running in this warehouse thing, and yeah, it was just rec play, and it was a lot of fun. It was really fun because in the tournament you had to play with the bread and butter paddle. And I know a lot of these guys play with power paddles, but Bread and Butter's line, as it stands now, leans all court at this point with the way paddles are. And so it actually, when we got into rec play, people were just mixing in left and right. And it really reminded me of like when I started in pickleball. Like people weren't like, no, even the tournament, people didn't take it super seriously. And people were mixing in different levels. And I think just the fact that, no one had bazookas made it just a bit more fun. And like, I'm really hoping like we get to that point in pickleball again. And I have some hope with how the foam paddles are turning out. I am optimistic. But during that rec play, I got to play with lots of folks. I got to team up with Rafa, pickleball tech dude, who he was someone that was a standout player. He actually was in Pickleball Studios team, so I don't quite know what happened with that team because I would have thought that would have been pretty competitive. But I played with him quite a bit, and he was very good. And I think if I remember correctly, him and me, we actually pickled during rec play. JJ Pickleball and his partner, and then one other highlight. I partnered up with Tickle My Pickleball, and I've known that guy for, like, I watched his reviews. Like, me watching his reviews, like, that was one of the things that really pushed me to, like, want to do reviews. And we beat up hard on Pickleball Pursuit in rec play, and gave him a little bit of a whooping, which I don't think he remembers, but I'll remember that. And then after that, there's a huge barbecue. I ate way too much. And then a few guys went and did a little ice cream expedition, which I could not say no to. And then that was it. And then people were flying out the next day at different times. I was actually flying out later because I was going to I did hang out with my older brother who was nearby. But I was able, there's a little rec play in the morning. back at the warehouse, but this time no air conditioner, so it was hot. But I went there and had a lot of fun, and I ended up getting to play with Isaac Olson, so Chris Olson, Pickleball Studio's brother and co-host of his podcast. I ended up playing across from Chris Olson as well, and I got to play with Pickleball Will. I played with Rafa from Pickleball Tech Dude again, and I played with Farmer Lanky, and that, along with Tickle My Pickleball, those two guys are like probably the dudes that are why I got into reviewing, because before I got into the game, it was the big boys, the Avengers, and then it was Tickle My Pickleball and Farmer Lanky. And then I actually got started, and then after I had been doing it for a while, that's when Pickleball Pursuit and All Drive No Drop came onto the scene. They actually came after me, but then their channels both skyrocketed because, I'm just too slow and I review paddles that no one wants to watch videos about, but I like checking those paddles out. And yeah, Jacob over at All Drive No Drop got sick last minute, and so he actually didn't get to attend, so I didn't get to meet him in person, but he's always been super super nice to me. Like we've talked like on Instagram and stuff, and so, but yeah, it was really cool. Everyone was really really nice, and Pickleball Studio in particular, that guy, I've never met someone that was so much like they are on camera. Like the way he is in all of his videos is how he is in real life, which was like just kind of surreal. Cause like I have like a little more extroverted, I feel when I'm on camera, and so a little different in person, but that he was just the same. And yeah, everyone was super nice. And yeah, that's really. Oh, and then Farmer Lanky was just like really, really like good. People sort of like always are commenting on his videos, like sort of trying to roast him. But I actually knew this for a long time, but he had like an injury from when he was really, really young, like with his back. And so he's had to adapt his game to like the way his body works. And so people that comment, like they don't realize like this guy is playing great pickleball, it just looks different as a result of him like being different. And so I think hopefully people will like give him less of a hard time, because they're pretty like folks can be brutal when they are like think they know everything and they don't know anything. And like even on the sidelines, like I was like Pickleball Studio was like calling out some of Farmer's shots, like do not hit the ball to him there, because he has like some shutdown shots. And yeah, so that's really my recap. I would say the biggest takeaway, aside from like I do think I like what I went there to do, which was to have fun and meet these people, and like try not to like put my foot in my mouth too much and all of that. I think I succeeded, and so I'm proud of myself. Ever since like the pandemic, like my social, like I just don't social, I guess probably because I'm older too, like so that was like a big event, and so it was a lot of fun, but ultimately it was really nice to like meet all these people and find out like they're all stand-up folks. And so yeah, that was really that was my experience.
You know who I noticed John Q wasn't there, right? You know what, like
So John had gotten injured, and I believe he had to get a surgery or something, and so he couldn't travel. And then so he couldn't come either from an injury. And then the only other thing I left out, which was like I think I've always expressed sort of like insecurity about my skill. Yeah, commenter, whoever, the guy that doesn't like me airing out my insecurities. Well, I will tell you, I actually, after this experience, like I think I'm fine, like with the folks that I'm playing with, like the reviewers, like I think I hold my own in that like not to say like I'm amazing compared to them, but I'm not like embarrassing or anything like that. So that was a nice little takeaway as well.
good. I hope that boosts up your confidence a little, because you are you are good. You never
Yes.
you don't believe it.
No, I mean it's hard like when you don't do duper. But no, I kind of know my level, and I might try and like do the duper thing, but right now it's just hard enough testing the paddles that like because really, I mean that I think that's what I enjoy most is the testing paddles to make content. I think that is my favorite part of pickleball. And I remember before I reviewed paddles, like I was really working on like getting as good as I could get. And especially when you're doing open play and not really wanting to invest into like reserving courts or getting coaching, like that got frustrating fast. And I think by choosing this other path and focusing on like paddle reviewing, I still like really leveled up skill wise. Obviously, probably slower, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the choices. But yeah, it was awesome. And Doug and Aurora, into the lens. Thank you so much for hosting this. Looking forward to seeing you next year. I was the first one. I'm not sure this was intended to be an annual event, but I was the first one. There's this speech where Doug was thanking everyone, and he got a little emotional, and so did his daughter Aurora, for a good reason, because I know that was a ton of work to pull off. But then there's a pause, a little beat, and you know Matthew K. Pickleball is not going to waste a pause. And I was like, "See ya next year" or something like that, because like I think it'd be cool if this was like an annual thing. And so maybe folks, let us know down in the comments. One idea to make it an annual event is maybe doing a special edition paddle, like where a portion of it goes to help fund it. So would you guys be down to do a paddle GoFundMe to get the B&B tournament annual? I don't know. Let us know. I'm super curious. But Wilson, and did you have any more questions about Florida B&B?
No, it sounded like you had a bunch of fun. I wish I was in the know when that happened.
Next,
Hopefully, yeah.
if it happens again, hopefully it won't be with the police and firefighters
Oh
same
yeah.
time. You'll have a hard
Have to
choice,
pick and choose, huh? Yeah.
but I hope it happens, and I think you would fit in great. Like, and I would try not to like be your social anchor and just sink you to the.
Nah, I'm
But
gonna bring you along in all my
thank you.
conversations.
Good,
Yeah.
good. But all right, let's move on because this pod is gonna be long because we've got some topics I want to hit. But real quick, what are we testing right now? This segment is presented by SwiftNet. If you don't know SwiftNet, if you're hunting for the best portable net solution on the market, check out SwiftNet. It's made out of recycled carbon fiber from the aerospace industry. The net is top notch. Wilson's been using one for years, and I am a recent convert, and I am stoked to be a convert, and I'm very excited about it. But Wilson, what are you testing? I think you got something you've been testing. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So I've been testing out the Chorus SuperCourt EX elongated because I love my elongated paddles. Yes, it's a great Gen 2 paddle. I really where's yours? Gotta show yours, man. No,
I don't know where mine is,
you don't even know
bro.
where it
I'm
is.
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I yeah, so this one is an all-court paddle. It's not a power paddle or anything. This is coming. I'm comparing this to my bread and butter filth. This is definitely lighter. The stock weight is much lighter than my bread and butter. Um, you're just gonna cross your hands there, like nothing in your hands.
Well,
No, I know.
no, what I
But
want, let me interrupt you real quick, Wilson, because what I was hunting for is Matt over at ChorusPickleball has sent me to give to you the two other versions of their
oh,
elongated paddles. And so you're
okay,
about to be able to compare them all. But
that'd be
like I like
great.
this comparison to the filth. So what were you saying? And I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like, I want to get him on camera and like do this nice little reveal to Wilson. Look what I got for you to test.
Oh.
But I cannot find them in this mess I've made. So but yeah, you're comparing it to the filth. And so
Yeah.
this is the Supercourt, the updated latest Supercourt release from Chorus Pickleball. All right,
Yeah.
elongated.
So this one definitely it's lighter than the bread and butter filth. It is I would say it is poppier but less powerful. So how
Okay.
people compare it is power is what you get from the baseline, in a full swing. the amount
Yeah.
of like power that you get out of the shot. And then pop is usually more from the, at the net, firefights, hand battles, uh, things that happen right off the paddle surface. So
Yeah.
yeah, this one's lighter. This one's great up front when you're dinking and you're trying to do speed ups. This is great. The only thing that it's lacking is in the baseline. The drives and the ground strokes, it's a little weaker. I would have to actually um, add a lot more of my own body mechanics into adding
Mm-hmm.
creating power in my shot. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because it starts out so light. I think the overall like swing weight is pretty low for
Yeah.
a elongated paddle. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you add a little bit of weight on the head, it can easily compete with the bread and butter filth and everything. But one thing like I said before, I really liked was the net game, the kitchen game, the dinking, the speed ups, the hand battles for an elongated paddle. This is a really light in the hand. It's really light in the hands. It's very
Yeah.
maneuverable. Yeah, and the pop is great for Gen 2. Great
Yeah.
counters. It's really good for counters. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they describe the surface as a soft carbon fiberglass. So it's got
Hmm.
this fiberglass in its layup, and then I think they described it as there's this carbon fiber layer that is on the softer side,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly. I was trying to reconfirm that. Yeah. So yeah, there's this soft raw carbon fiber, and then the fiberglass underneath, and so yeah, it's definitely easier to customize a paddle to like have more power with weight than it is to increase the pop with weight. In my opinion, you can tone pop down,
Also,
but yeah,
quick thing. I do feel like the whatever they did with the foam perimeter or anything, the overall sweet spot for considering how light this is, the sweet spot actually feels larger than the bread and butter filth.
yeah, it says they use denser foam edges. So
Ah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely something unique. And so yeah, it doesn't seem like it's like a catalog paddle at all. And I don't think
Mm-mm.
Matt does. Like Matt does so many iterations on his paddles, so it seems like a paddle that would be good for someone that knows how to customize.
Hmm.
And so like maybe someone from tennis that is familiar with using tuning weight. But awesome. And then I think you know what? What are we testing right now? I am cheating a little bit because I am about to get into
Hey.
testing the Friday paddles. So right now, Friday, they're a company that's always been known for like this two paddles for like $100 if you use a promo code. So like promo code Matthew K, you could get two of these paddles for $98. Or if you're getting one paddle, you can get 10% off if you use my promo code MatthewK10. And they've got a lot of excitement right now because they released a new paddle, a Gen 3 paddle that's super cheap. Promo code MatthewK10 gets you the biggest discount on that one. It's called the FeverPaddle. But what I want to cover are the OGs because really, like, I think that 2 for 98 might still be the best value. And I just want to confirm for myself how good these play.
They
They're
sound
supposed to
gritty.
be, yeah, they've got grit. So this one, they have a version with the raw carbon fiber, but then they've got like that other one with the painted on grit. And so the idea is like when you're first getting serious about pickleball, you get one of these. And to be honest, if you hang into pickleball, you'll want to upgrade. And so that painted on grit shouldn't really be an issue. But yeah, and I've always just been interested by this brand. So I'm gripping these up and going to be testing them soon. And then, so cheating a little bit because I'm not testing them just yet. But one thing I did just test over the tourney, the bag I chose to take is actually a bag that I don't think lots of folks know about this company. It's called, this bag is from a company called TeamPickleball Bags. And I wanted to take this one because I was going on a flight and I didn't want to do, I wasn't checking luggage. So I didn't want to do a big tournament bag that I needed something soft that could do overhead. And this thing, I really love this thing. And they have another style bag. This is a backpack style, but it opens from the top. And it really fits, it maximizes just the style of how it's designed. Fits more than like basically any other bag with this volume, and it's made super super well, incredibly durable. It survived both flights, 4 flights, because I had so many transfers, super well. And it's got your fence hook, so
Gotta have that
I
fence
love it. You have to have the fence hook, and I love the double handles. And depending on when you're watching.
Before you
Oh yeah.
continue, just a quick question. Which paddle did you use at the tournament?
Oh, I'm getting there,
Oh, okay,
Wilson.
okay,
I'm getting
okay.
there. But
Sorry.
so that bag I really like, and I like their other style bag, which is basically like a giant. I don't know. Depending on where you live, you're probably familiar with like the IKEA, the big IKEA bags. I love
A
that design
tote.
because a tote, yeah. But they have one that's like a picnic bag style that just holds massive amounts of paddles, and so very cool company, very well made, incredibly good zippers. Check them out, Team Pickleball. Depending on when you're watching this, I might have a code with them. Right now, they're not really set up to do affiliate codes, but try Matthew K. Maybe you're watching this 10 years, because you know everyone's going to be watching this podcast in 10 years. And yeah, to answer your question, Wilson, what I've been
Sorry.
testing hard, is the B&B FatBoy.
Boy.
This was the paddle that I played with in the tournament. Ooh, look at those great hits right there. But yeah, I talked about this before. This paddle. Oh, sorry, I don't. My ring just went off. Maybe there's a paddle delivery. But excuse that, everybody. But I played with the Fat Boy during the tournament, and I really didn't. And during rec play, I really didn't switch out. And this really is probably my favorite B&B paddle. It plays super similarly to the J2K. The ball feel is very much like that, and for me, it's got decent. It has good pop for counters, but it's not overwhelming. Like, I didn't need to customize it. And the sweet spot like is very forgiving, but more than anything for me, it doesn't have too much power. And for this situation, like, since I haven't played with this paddle so much, I wasn't 100% consistent. But one shot I wanted to bring to this was short serves, and that for me, like, for a paddle I don't know super well, it can't be overpowered for me to achieve that. And so I was able to really control this power wise. So it's definitely an all court paddle, but that's what I was wanting. And then the grab on the ball, even with this one that's been used pretty heavily, like, I could get done what I wanted to do. Like, I have a pretty flick heavy game, and in rec play, I was able to do that. Also, a lot of the folks across from me when I was playing left side were prepared for that. But this was the paddle, and then I thought I'd highlight, though, I snuck away from the tournament with the
Ooh.
updated. So this one's not USAP approved, but I think these are on sale or pre-sale. I can't remember, but I think they made them super gritty because they're not approved, and yeah, it's just really cool looking. And so yeah, this, I might not have gotten a trophy, but this sure feels like it, right?
You gotta hang that up.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, the Fat Boy, I've played with that a lot, and I think it's my favorite bread and butter paddle. I think if you're looking for an aggressive all court paddle that is has a very forgiving sweet spot that lets you catch a lot of balls. Like Honolulu really doesn't have this shape in particular. Like, I very much like this wide body shape. They have their J3 shape, which is a standard, and then they have the new J4. I think Honolulu does need to do one with a flare at the top, because I'm working on a video about this shape actually already. I think it's a great shape. But so yeah, you can't really get this from Honolulu. And so I think this is, if you love Honolulu's paddles but want this particular shape, or you just like a really cool looking paddle, like, this is a very good choice. But, you know, well, yeah, before I move on to that, then some other stuff I'm testing. I'm actually trying to test a bunch of Overgrip brands, and not the big ones that we all know. And so I just thought I'd highlight them and see, hey, if anyone has used these grips before, like, let me know what you think about them down in the comments. But I have had this one for a while. This brand's called ExoGrip, and they have a few different varieties, and I want to try this one. And then I've got some from a company called ButteryPickleball. I want to try these. And then we already know our friends over at PaddleHands. They've got some Overgrips. They look pretty unique. I want to try those. And then, I saw Braden over at Pickleball Effect over the weekend. And I've actually talked about his grips, I think, on my Instagram before. But I want to try these all, and then the last one is a company called AntPickleball, which I've been sitting on these and have just not really had a good way to test all these small companies' grips. But I actually met this guy that runs this at the event, and he has a cool grip kit on his site as well. And so I'm about to set up a lot of paddles, which we're going to talk about. And so I thought, why not just run through all of these, talk about them on the channel. Guys, if there are other brands I should know about, comment down below, let me know. But those are the ones I'm going to run with for now. And then one other product that I want to tell you about, Mr. Wilson, that I'm testing out. Speaking of Pickleball Effect, this is Pickleball Effect's, it's called DryMaxGrip. And basically, it's something you apply on your hands to help with your grip, to help maintain your grip. And it's not like chalk or wax or anything like that. It's its own thing, sort of like rub it in. And I played with it once, and what I really noticed, so I like a very sticky overgrip. And that's because I used to have very thick grips. One of the reasons is I used to really build my grip up super thick. And so I have very loose hands, right? But I want some tactile to help keep my grip. But one thing I noticed that this helped with, compared to just using a very sticky overgrip, like a Tourna Mega Tack, is it actually helped me keep, even with a very sticky overgrip, one where I have a little cheat code where I have wax that I apply. I use a wax towel to bring back some of the stickiness to used up grips, because I'm cheap and I don't replace them that much. But one thing that I noticed about this was, so if you get a layer of sweat between sticky grip and your hand, there's still some movement sometimes, so you have to remember to put your grip back in place. I'm tying subtle, and you know how I do the flicks and all that, but this, I noticed it really, and I've only tested it once, but I noticed it helped. I didn't have to it helped adhere my hand to my paddle grip, and that little give that sometimes takes place, and then I find myself my hand out of position, and then I'm not able to do a quick return. I sometimes get tied up because of that. This, I think, locked it in a little bit better than just a sticky overgrip. And so I'm going to test this out some more, And Wilson, I got one for you to test out. I don't
Oh,
know.
thank you.
So thank Braden. He's been watching some of our clips, Wilson.
Oh,
He said
good.
he said we're funny. So we'll take that. We'll take that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I am testing. And that brings me to what I think people probably clicked on this video for, which I'm going to try to run through this fast. Because we're coming up on 55 minutes. But I've got some more Honolulu updates. Yeah, I know. So the last podcast, we chatted about all their next gen paddles. And since then, I've actually chatted with their owner. And so I thought I would just share all the information I have, because right now people are making some purchasing decisions, and there's a lot. And basically Honolulu has 3 varieties of next gen paddles. And so I thought I would break that down as like hopefully where folks can understand it, and maybe you could help me if there are like questions. How does that sound to you, Wilson?
Sounds good. Let's do this. Man, how
This
many
I had to
drinks do
take.
you have?
I know. Well, I can't do my normal. So since I got the tooth extracted, I can't use a straw, and so I
Yeah.
got like I can't use my big carbon mug. And then this one is just I can't do hot, and so this is just room temperature coffee because I needed some energy for this next section.
All right. Get your coffee in. Let's do this.
All right, you ready? All right. What I wanted to talk. So first off, okay, we have the J2 FC Plus. Okay? All right, guys. Bear with me. Stay with me. And so this is EPP solid foam outer layer with a soft EVA around it. Okay? And so it's pretty much a foam paddle. And it's diving board pivoting design. Okay? And so the other thing to note about it is it's triple layer triple layer carbon fiber. And so this one is still getting tested for approvals. But this version I have here is the version that's going out to customers. And so all the content you've already seen are not this version. Like, this is the latest. This is the one that's going to be sold. I believe the beta or the version before this is for sale. It might be sold out. You can if it's for sale, you can use promo code MatthewK for because it's a carbon fiber paddle. Okay, so solid foam outer layer with soft EVA. Okay, diving board design. And so, I think that is Gen 4 foam paddle. I don't know. Do you agree knowing that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. And now we're moving on to their other paddles, which we've seen floating around. And that's the J2 NF series. Okay? And the names of these are changing a bit. But you've got one with carbon fiber face, Kevlar, and then the quote-unquote titanium. Okay? And so the J2 NF has a notched foam, and it's utilizing foam with multiple densities. And that notch part's like the most confusing. And I actually got the owner, Jam, over at Honolulu to share an X-ray. And I think I'll post that on my Instagram. So go check out at MatthewKPickleball. I'm going to try to keep getting updates up there. But this is where the debate's coming in, Wilson. So this is multiple densities of foam. And when you see the X-ray, you're going to see it's a little complicated looking. And I would argue that this is either Gen 4.5 or Gen 5. Because I was classifying Gen 4 paddles as all foam, and I even think all foam, like, and simple. Like the Carbon True Foams, it's one element, and then they've got recesses or holes that create its play characteristics. And the thing about it is it's simple, and that's where I think Gen 4 is like they were solving what Gen 3 was by keeping it simple. Things don't break down as much. But this, I feel, is complex. Not necessarily complex in the way that things will break down, but just not a single piece of foam. And so I'm arguing this is going to be Gen 4.5 or Gen 5. Because it's not one piece, not a single piece is making the core. It's not simple. And so that's I think.
The previous paddle, was it the FC or
FC Plus?
FC Plus, that one's two piece too, essentially. It's two different types of foam. So
right. And so but yeah, so that I agree. And so but it's sort of utilizing like it as an edge foam approach. But yeah, I'm like it's definitely different. But I don't know if that would qualify it to be in a new category. I don't know. What do you guys think? Down in the comments, what are these paddles? We've got the FC Plus EPP solid foam outer layer of soft EVA diving board style. Right? Did I say that right? Diving board style. And then the NF series, it's a foam utilizing multiple densities. That X-ray will help sort of show how the notch is working about. Yeah, but it's different. So what do you all think? Let me know now down in the comments. And so this one is the NF series is supposed to launch at the end of the month. It's maxed out the 43 core test, and the change about this one is its layup is carbon fiber, fiberglass, carbon fiber, I believe. And so
is that the one that you really like? The last
I
time
have
you played?
not hit with these yet. I'm gonna get to that one too.
Okay.
And so, but you can pre-order this one now. Promo code Matthew K works for it because it's carbon fiber. If the titanium one goes on pre-order, promo code Matthew K works for that, and then Matthew Kevlar for the Kevlar. And then I'll just say, Jam, the owner of Honolulu, he's making these paddles, so he's probably the person that's hit with them the most. He believes, in his opinion, the NF paddle has a more firm feel, but a little more pop, while the sweet spot still feels like the FC Plus. And then he thinks the FC Plus is more forgiving. And so take that, with a grain of salt, but he's certainly hit with these, and I think he knows his paddles. And all of those, though, so these are new price points. They're $195 before discount code. And so, but yeah, and then I would say he highlighted when I chatted with him, people like the Kevlar version, because it's soft and forgiving is what he said. And then, he did mention on the titanium version, which tracks with my experience with the Plus paddles, he thinks this feels muted, but you'll be surprised when you bring big power. And that brings me to the Plus paddles. That was sort of my experience with the J2K Plus, and the J2 Ti Plus. But, so we just talked about two next-gen paddles from Honolulu. But don't forget about their Plus series. And so I've already talked a bit about the J2H Plus. Ooh, look how nice it looks cleaned up. And so this one is Gen 3. Like, the way it's designed is Gen 3. And this one is only $153 after promo code Matthew K. And this one is part of that refresh program. And so I think this still might be the value king when it comes to Honolulu's next gen paddles, especially when you take into account the refresh program, which lots of people are liking. But this is what I'm thinking I'm going to do, because it's a lot of paddles. And I think what I want to do is take the three carbon fiber versions and compare how these all play. And I think that's the video I'm going to work on. What do you think about that?
I think that'd be great. So that's a great
Yeah,
idea comparing the
I think
core technologies.
yeah, and then probably like note the surfaces, but I think comparing these straight up will be, I think, a piece of helpful content, and I don't think we've seen that yet. And so, folks, let me know. Do you think that will answer all your questions? Like, and also, I would not discourage you from just going in right now and getting in on the first wave, because I do think these are going to be popular. And so you could just part of the reviewer circuit all on your own in your own community. But yeah, Honolulu updates do not stop. There's other stuff that they're working on, but that's what I wanted to talk about. Did that all make sense? What do you think? Obviously, and yes, folks, I'm gonna like hit with these and tell you like my thoughts on how they play. But I think first, like, just understanding what they are is kind of important, at least for me, just because I'm a paddle nerd. Like, I want to know what's what. And so I'm going to definitely feel out how they all play. But it's taken me a beat like multiple times to wrap my head around what they all are. And to be honest, like, I still am not settled on the labels. Like, I think it's gonna get more complicated. And I know the generation labels, that's like a subjective thing, but to me it really does help me like keep things straight. And so I do think their approach on full foam paddles is different. And the fact that it has some complexity, and even what you just highlighted with the FC Plus paddle having that soft EVA, like, is that like that sort of some Gen 3 approach in a Gen 4 paddle, right? And so they're just trying a lot of interesting stuff. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, so is there anything you want me to look out for while hitting with these, Mr. Wilson?
Um,
I
I
mean, they're
guess
all
if you
hybrids, so they're all like, you don't care. But
no. I think most people will want to ask about or want you to focus on if you notice a difference between the Gen 3 and the two foam core paddles. Like see if there's a break-in, if you notice
right.
any extra power or if it gets softer, the character see if the characteristics of the paddle changes from when they're
Yeah.
new, you know?
That's
I
always
think
the
that's
hardest. Yeah, that's always the hardest thing to achieve with a review, just because of the time. But I will say, like, yeah, I mean, even with their Gen 3 paddles, like, for the amount that they are out in the world, like, I haven't, like, lots of people are using the refresh program, like I see in the Discord and stuff, but it's to get a really good deal on paddles. I don't
that's
think
fair.
it's, yeah, well, I don't know exactly the intent of the program, if like that's how they want it to be used. So I'm not really commenting on that one way or the other, but like, yeah, I mean, we've already talked about this a million times on the channel. Like Gen 3 paddles, you know, they break down. And so I don't know about Gen 4 or Gen 4.5. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be achievable for the first review, because I think that's a long term question. But yeah, I'll definitely note it if I see anything like that happening. And all right, Wilson. I mean, that is like I did. Oh my goodness. Well, shoot. We do have our tip of the week, but I wanted real quick. I gotta share this with you, Wilson. Um, we got some gear alerts. I'm gonna put most of them off. We'll talk about them another time. But I know you're particularly interested, and so I wanted to share this with you. While I was down at the Nerdy Tourney, while I was down at the Nerdy Tourney,
Hey.
I got to see some paddles, and I reached out to Aurora, and she gave me some of the info. And so I thought I'd just walk you through this real quick. This is called the Psycho, and their target swing weight is 108. It's a 14 millimeter paddle. They're describing it as a high density polypropylene core. I've been told it's that black polypropylene we've seen in other paddles. I won't say it's the same, but it's 10 millimeter cell size, and it's got a layer of fiberglass for increased pop. And so I am pretty sure this one is the one Pickleball Etc. was had a lot of input on, and he is someone that really loved the Popular Neonic Flare paddle, if I remember right. And so, yeah, this is going to be interesting. This one might be more in my wheelhouse, although I don't love super poppy paddles, or I didn't in the past, but now that I've gotten a little bit more advanced, we'll see. I didn't want to even mess around with this at the tournament. I just stuck with my own paddle. But then you have this paddle, which is the one I think might interest you, the WildThang. And this one has a swing weight of 118, so well up in Mr. Wilson's power wheelhouse.
Still not bad for an elongated. Anything under 120, it's impressive for an elongated.
Yeah. And so they're doing 3K carbon fiber with a layer of fiberglass for increased pop. I am really curious how that's going to play out for Bread and Butter with them leaning into like these popular paddles, because for me, I think their brand is great for people that I think it's a great, I think the way that they penetrate the market, it's like they're hitting people that are not like all pickleball nerds, like just because it's their brand is so fun. And so I'm curious to see with them segueing into poppier paddles, or presumably, I haven't hit with these. I'm wondering if their audience, I mean, I guess they'll still have the other paddles. So maybe they should get some more. Yeah, I guess this makes sense. They do have a hole in their line with poppy paddles.
Options are nice.
Yeah, and then this one is using a 60 millimeter high density polypropylene core. So I don't know if that means black polypropylene. I don't know about cell size on this one, but once again, just really clean looks. Some cool looking paddles, and lots of folks were using this one in the tournament, if I remember right. This one, I can't remember if Pickleball Etc. was using this one or not. But most of the folks were, there are only a few outliers that weren't using elongated at the tournament, including Matthew K. Pickleball. But I think I will probably leave that at the gear alerts, because I want to make sure we have time to talk about our tip of the week, presented by our friends over at BodhiPickleball. And Bodhi is a great place to get all your grips, all your pickleball accessories, as well as they now have a new collaboration with FluidTrainer, and they have their own trainer. And this thing, promo code Matthew K, will get you a discount. We're always talking about the tiny paddles. Wilson loves to take one of these out of his bag and teach me a lesson on the court. And so, yeah, if you need a trainer, go check them out. But yeah, and I've talked about Fluid on the channel before, and so it's cool that they're collaborating. And so, yeah, what's the tip of the week? Make us play better pickleball, Wilson.
Yeah, so thanks, Bodhi, for sponsoring the tip of the week. My quick tip of the week is that your drops are only as good as your resets. People are always trying to master their drop and get them, perfect, and how they're like unattackable, and how it drops right into the kitchen and everything. And I want to say the opposite. I think that you don't have to actually perfect your drop. I think it's more important to perfect your resets and be comfortable with resetting your opponent's shots. So the idea is that your drop or third shot drive is only setting you up to come up into the net and to so your your
Wilson, you've got this. You're gonna get this tip out.
Hoka just ran in front of me, so I was wondering what she was doing.
I was like, I've never seen Wilson distracted before, making me play better pickleball. But
yeah,
all right, folks, For
She's like,
folks listening
it's
that
been an
can't see
hour.
this, yeah, it's been an hour. Hoka is Wilson's dog, and she's always off camera telling him it's time to go on a walk when Matthew K. Pickleball keeps him too long. So, all right. What were you
Uh,
saying?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Resets are more important. Resets are more important than third shot drops.
Well, yeah. Like your drops are only as good as your resets. If you look at pros and stuff, or you even look at high level people playing at your local park, your drops are never like super perfect or anything. It's just to initiate your approach to the net. Um, and so the reason why I say that your drops are only as good as your resets is that your your drops may not be perfect, but you got to be able to move up and reset your opponent's next shot, their fourth shot. Um, if you look at pros, their drops can be high, and they're just ready for their opponent's shot, their return of drop. And sorry.
Yeah, I mean, don't let don't let seeking perfection get in the way of good enough. And ultimately, the third shot drop or the whatever number it is, that's not as important to master as being able to deal with something more aggressive coming your way as the
Yeah.
result of an unideal, if that's a word, drop. So of course you want to have a good drop so you don't have to so you have time to get to the net, but ultimately resets you have to do way more
Hmm.
throughout a
Hmm.
game, especially with the fact that it's speeding up. And one
Hmm.
thing that you noted before was if you're hitting below, if you see the person across from you, you've mentioned this to me before, if
Yeah.
you see the person going for a ball below the net, you do one thing as opposed to if they're going for a ball above net. So do you want to let the audience know about that? I thought that was a
Yeah.
really good nugget.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when you're dropping or when you're hitting to your opponent, if you see them trying to get a ball below the net, if you see their paddle head, their paddle face is below the net, that's a good sign, a green light for you to approach the net. The reason is they have to hit up. They're not going to be able to attack you. And on the opposite side of things, if you see your opponents with their paddle above the net and it looks like they're going to, body bag you, that's when you should just kind of stop where you are in your approach to the net and do a split step and prepare for a reset. Um,
Yeah.
because you should not be approaching the net while they're attacking you. That that's a recipe for disaster. You're not going to have enough time to react to their shot, and their shot is going to catch you while you're moving. You should always try to stabilize your body before you hit your shot. It's one less thing that you have to worry about, and it helps with your timing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and ultimately that's how you get an effective reset is
Yeah.
having that stability and having planted your feet via split step. And so I agree. I think that is this idea we need to have perfect drops all the time. Like, yeah, that's great if you're in a situation where you get a nice, where you have plenty of time. But yeah, I ultimately think you're correct. Like, the more advanced players, they move up, and that drop is pertinent to like the very start of a game.
Hmm. Hmm.
Obviously, if you get pushed to the baseline, you want to do a drop potentially or a
Hmm.
lob to get back up there. But I don't know. Is that a reset at that point? I guess it's not. I don't know. But I definitely think with the way the game's moving, focusing on resets and not getting tangled. And I really think
Hmm.
the clue that you gave with like, because the reason this stuck out to me is because I know I do this and I get punished for it, which is if you're the person across from you is always going under the net, yeah, you're gonna throw up some nice little silver platters. So that's the point to be aggressive and maybe jump over to the kitchen and reach over and
There you
slam
go.
them into the teeth. But then yeah, if they're gonna volley out of the air, yeah, you need to be prepared and do a reset. And so I
Hmm.
do think those hits are way more important to be conscious of. But yeah, of course, learn your drops, but that's not everything. And so
Yeah.
I
Well,
agree. All right. All right, Hoka tried to derail us, but Wilson, Pickleball King, he's not going to let Hoka prevent us getting better at pickleball. But all right, Wilson, I think that's a wrap for this pod. This was episode 12, if you can believe it, but we're at the end. Few quick reminders. Don't forget about those giveaways. Franklin, Packle, Standout, Kiwi Labs, Yola, and maybe 11624 Power. Go check the videos, see if they've happened. And then, Wilson, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, have a good weekend, everyone.
Have a good weekend. Who knows when this will air?
Oh,
Have a good life.
have
a
a
good
good
day.
day.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. But I'll speak for both of us. We both hope you get to pickle soon, but just don't forget, it's about having fun.